A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Today is the 4th of April 2010 and we are starting Marefatul Nafs competition session number 11. Few reminders that I have to mention to everyone. Number one, today is the last session that we have got any teaching. The next session will be held on 18th of April, that means 2 weeks from now. In 2 weeks from now, we are going to have two things happening at the same time. We want to start, unfortunately for 11th session, I have always said sharp at 3. But this time, inshallah, we start sharp at 3 because we are going to have exam as well as assignments. I'm giving you some assignments, team assignments to be done. And at the end of these assignment that you're going to do, which is to do from by Quran, you will see how much of total of this Marefatul Nafs sessions you have learned when it's combined with what you're going to learn from Quran. It's a lot of difference it's going to make in your perception and understanding from the whole Quran. And so next week we don't have any session. The week after we are going to start inshallah at 3 o'clock. By 3 o'clock I have put all this tests on your tables. If the tables are not ready, I'm putting it down on the floor, so I don't wait even for the setup. And the other thing is, I keep repeating this, I have said it in the past, but I repeat that these video clips that I'm using, it does not mean by any means we as Muslims and Shias, we have any full approval for the content of the video clips. We are using them for our own limited purpose, and it is not, I'm telling you that so that you have got what is referred to in Arabic, tahaffuz in your mind. When you listen to them, when you watch them, you have tahaffuz, precautions. It's not that whatever you hear is right and you have to learn it. You have to only see it in the context of what we have learned, what we see in this hadith that we have spoken for the last few months. So, I'll start the most important part of this whole sessions, which is also the most difficult part of the session. That is hadith, that is the fourth nafs, which we have not, I don't think we have spoken about it as such, and I have to tell you, we are not going to talk about it too much as well today. The main text, the main interpretation of this is probably, inshallah, in MNC2 or MNC3, the full. But I use only a few parts of it for today's purpose. Who remembers what was the fourth nafs, the fourth soul? Ilahiyatul Kulliyatul Malikutiyya. What was in English? Divine Universal. Divine Intellectual was the Natiqatul Qudsiyya. But Divine Universal is the nafs that we are going to talk about it today. Also we will discuss about, briefly, there is also a short hadith from Imam Ali alayhi salam about aql, because this fourth nafs, it has to do a lot with aql or intellect. I first read the hadith. It was reaching to the fourth one. It comes from here. فَقَالَ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامُ, which it is Imam Ali alayhi salam. قُوَّةٌ لَاهُوتِيَّةٌ, that is the divine universal soul. قُوَّةٌ لَاهُوتِيَّةٌ means it is lahut was higher awalim. That comes from the neighborhood of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I've translated this to neighborhood of Allah. So it is a nafs which comes from those awalim. So it is in very much neighboring of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, very close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But jawharatun basita, that is substance. You remember jawhar and araz we spoke about? Yes, substance and attributes. So it is this is a substance, it is not an attribute. Jawharatun basita, that means basit in short term for today, it means indivisible. It cannot be divided. Of course any other soul is like that. You cannot divide any soul. So there is not parts and pieces in it. It's all one thing. So that is the basic and core meaning of ahadiyat as well. When we say قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدْ, that is that bisatat that is talking about. And hayyatun bizzat means inherently it's alive. It has got life inherently. Remember what was the signs of hayat? Qudrat, ilm, and what else? No one is here to say the third one? Will, ahsan. Irada, qudrat, and ilm are they were the signs of hayat. So when we say someone is hay, unless he or she has these three attributes in him, he cannot be called hay or live. So it is hayyatun bizzat. Inherently it is hay and live. Asluha al-aql. That's the part I want to elaborate a little more on it. Asluha al-aql means it originates from intellect. But what I want to, just for the sake of differentiation in your minds or in our minds, when we say aql, immediately our own aql comes to and interfere. So that means this aql. No, we call that universal intellect, so that we have differentiated. Universal intellect is aql al-kulli. So it says asluha al-aql. It originates from universal intellect. Minhu badad wa anhu da'at wa ilayhi dallat wa asharat. Means it has started from aql. This nafs has started from aql. And it says, it calls for that. It calls for that aql as well. وَأَنْهُ دَعَتْ وَإِلَيْهِ دَلَّتْ وَأَشَارَتْ. And it refers to and points at aql. These are all, if there is someone who wants to do a tafsir of this, I can tell you, only this nafs alone probably is will be a few volumes of a book to explain this nafs. So we only shortly touch it. Not that I know all of those as well. I'm just saying it is such a deep topic as well. So وَأَوْدُهَا إِلَيْهِ means the return of this nafs, the return of this soul is towards aql. It goes back to intellect, universal intellect. So this universal, this divine universal soul, when it returns back to universal intellect. Okay? So far easy? We will see. الْأَوْدَهَا إِلَيْهِ إِذَا كَمُلَتْ وَشَابَهَتْ. When it returns to the intellect, universal intellect, when it perfects and it becomes like intellect itself. So it returns to intellect when it has perfected and it is shabahat. It becomes like a universal intellect too. So sorry? Perfection in every matter, in every issue. It perfects. Sorry?
Can you elaborate more on this, please?
We didn't understand.
Okay, this hadith says وَأَوْدُهَا إِلَيْهِ إِذَا كَمُلَتْ وَشَابَهَتْ means the return of this nafs, this soul, is to aql, to universal intellect. But it's not just unconditional. It says when it perfects and when it becomes like an intellectual, universal intellect. وَمِنْهَا بَدَتِ الْمَوْجُودَاتِ. From this soul, all other creatures are made. Okay? So all other creatures are made from this soul. What does that mean? I told you, this is, don't raise your eyebrows. Go and learn, inshallah, in the next MNC 2, 3, 4, 5. We will learn what these are. But, مِنْهَا بَدَتِ الْمَوْجُودَاتِ. From this soul, rest of the creatures are created. وَإِلَيْهَا تَعُودُ بِالْكَمَالِ. And these creatures return to this soul, bil-kamal, with perfection. When they are completing in their journey, they go back to this fourth soul. Very difficult? Yeah. Of course, you're not supposed to understand it. You're only supposed to listen to it. No, I tell you, this is not an easy subject. It is not subject that I can open up more than what I'm opening up. Yes, brother.
The creatures return to the soul with kamal.
Yeah. bil kamal. Kamal, inshallah, we are talking about this in the death reality of this on Friday mornings. We are talking about kamal. This week, inshallah, we will be talking about kamal. But in general, kamal means completion or perfection. That's the meaning of kamal. And وَإِلَيْهَا تَعُودُ بِالْكَمَالِ, and all the creatures will return to this soul bil-kamal, with perfection and completion. وَهِيَ ذَاتُ الْأُلْيَا وَشَجَرَةٌ تُوبَى وَسِدْرَةُ الْمُنْتَهَى وَجَنَّةُ الْمَأْوَى. Understood? I didn't either. That means this is Zatul Ulya. This is very high. Ulya means elevated, and high Zat, essence. This is talking about this nafs. But Shajaratun Tuba. Shajaratun Tuba is where there are a lot of ahadith, which Shajarat Tuba is. Start from the house of the Prophet. Start from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Shajaratun Tuba, which is in Jannat. And Sidratul Muntaha. This is one of those other things that we do not, or at least I don't know much about it, but it's where in Quran says Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Mi'raj or ascendance, he went to Sidratul Muntaha. Okay, these are all high spiritual states and status, which is definitely beyond my understanding and comprehension. But some of you may understand it, inshallah, if not today, in the future. But Jannatul Ma'wa. Jannatul Ma'wa is also another high place of Jannat and heaven. This is the part also I want to emphasize on. So there are two parts where I wanted to talk about. Asluha al-aql originates from intellect, universal intellect. And this part which I'm reading now. وَمَنْ عَرَفَهَا لَمْ يَشْقَ أَبَدًا. Those who know Arabic. مَنْ عَرَفَهَا لَمْ يَشْقَ أَبَدًا. وَمَنْ جَهِلَهَا ذَلَّ وَغَوَى. Means whoever know this nafs, whoever come to know this nafs, lam yashqa abada. He will never become miserable. He will be prosperous. Okay? وَمَنْ جَهِلَهَا ذَلَّ وَغَوَى. And whoever is ignorant about this nafs, he will be misled and miserable. Who can say what is this nafs? Sorry? Allah. No. Allah. This is, Imam says, this is nafs of insan. Ahsan. This is the nafs of ma'asumin. Allah salawat for Arafah. Allahumma salla ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So the only fit for this criteria of this source is the nafs of ma'asum alayhum as-salam. So that is also, the hadith is talking about it when it says, Man arafaha lam yashqa abada. Whoever knows this nafs, he does not get astray, he does not go astray, and he will be prosperous. And whoever ignores this nafs, who does not know this nafs, becomes misled, and zalla means goes astray. That is ma'asum, isn't it? We have got so many ahadiths that the most important one that I remember now is the one which says all our a'mal, all our actions, all our knowledge, whatever we know, is in the Qiyamah is presented with our wilayat. How much we have wilayat of this ma'asumin. If our wilayat is accepted, our other a'mal are accepted. If our wilayat are not accepted, our a'mal are not accepted. This is from Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam. You all remember this. So I can see some of you have got frowned and you are thinking, what Imam Said is talking about. Inshallah, you will learn more. Let's go back to our main topic. So asluha al-aql. Here the issue is, this nafs is the owner, the one who owns, who has this nafs is ma'asum. And ma'asum himself is the mazhar and manifestation of universal intellect as well. So a lot of times they are referred to as aql al-kull. We have got hadith from Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam who says awwalu ma khalaqa Allahul aql, and also awwalu ma khalaqa Allahu nuri. That means nuri equal to aql, isn't it? So what is that aql? We are going to read this short hadith of Imam Ali to explain aql so that you do not confuse that aql with your own aql. Our aql is aql al-juz'i. Our aql is particular intellect, which is a manifestation of the universal intellect.
You've lost me,
Sorry?
You've lost me.
I've lost you?
I'm lost.
Okay, I'm talking.
Just rewind.
No, I'm talking. The universal aql, as opposed to ours, is like, let's say it is like, remember I have given this example in many occasions. I give the same example for comparison of universal intellect with our own particular or aql al-juz'i, our particular intellect. It is when, like you have a, let's say in front of a sun, in the sky, in front of the sun, you make many levels, let's say 100 layers of dark glass. So one after another you put. So on the 100th one underneath, there is still light, but it's so dark and very little, isn't it? You cannot say it is not, this is also nur. And that sun, what you're seeing from the sun is nur as well. But this nur has passed through several layers of darkness. It has become unintense, it has weakened in intensity, it has become a bit colored, it has become darker. So the difference between this aql and that aql, the difference between this nur and light and the light of the sun itself is the difference in intensity. So it is, we can say, another word we can say, this is manifestation. These last nur, light and beam of light in the 100th layer is the manifestation of the sun's light. Is tajalli of the sun's light. Does it make more sense now? Yes? So, our comparison of our intellect to that intellect of universal intellect is, it is the fullest intensity possible for an aql, is that universal aql. When it comes to us, it becomes, its actuality becomes less and less. So what happens to us? We are full of potentiality in our aql and with a little bit of actuality. So our aql al-bil-fil is very little, and our aql al-bil-istidad is too much. So that means we have got time and ways and means to make efforts to increase the intensity of our aql. Intensity of our aql is to increase the potentiality of your aql, and the more you add to your aql, the more you intensify your aql, the more actuality you are bringing. So you get closer to that universal intellect. It still doesn't make sense? No? Yes, Komel? Does it make sense? Let's go back to our old examples that we had. These are just examples. Remember, examples do not fully reflect the issue. It's just, I just want to show a part of it. See, in a seed, we know that we have spoken about this many times. In a seed and bazr, there is full potential of a tree. So basically, that seed potentially is a tree. Now, imagine, two seeds. One grows into its full actuality and becomes a tree, and the other seed grows a little stem only and comes like half a meter from the earth. So, but it still is, the potentiality is still with it. So the comparison of those two aqls and intellects are the comparison of this little bit of a stem from this seed to a full grown up tree, which has exhausted all its potentialities, and there is no more potentiality in it, and it has become pure actuality. So our aql is potentiality, it's not actuality. We have a little bit of actuality, of course, so much that we have aql and intellect, we use it, and we know that, we are conscious of it. But of course it's very little when it's compared to Ma'asum. Comparing to the intellect of Ma'asum, we know very little, Maryam, don't we? So that is why, because Our aql is in a state of isti'dad and potentiality. Okay? So, let's see what is aql. When I explain this, I told you this session is most challenging session. Alright? So that means there is a lot that you can ponder upon and learn. Then that person who was talking to Imam alayhi salam asked Imam, فَقَالَ السَّائِلُ مَا الْعَقْلِ What is aql? What is intellect? Let's see the definition of Imam. I'm going to ask these questions. Maybe today, if not all of it today, in the next 2 weeks that you're having the final exam. So let's learn this. قَالَ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامُ Imam says in answering to the definition of aql. جَوْهَرٌ دَرَّاكٌ Jawhar means what? Substance. Darrak means has got the ability of idrak and understanding. So aql has got understanding, which is very obvious. Did anyone think otherwise here? Aql is substance. Of course, it's not attribute as like that. Its substance has got, and it has got ability to understand. It's darrak. Darrak is sifat mushabbah, or for when something is the zat, in the zat of, when an attribute is in the zat of something, that is, they use this way of saying it, darrak, like fa'al. So jawharun darrak, muhitun bil ashya. Muhitun bil ashya means it encompasses all the beings. Aql has got a certain ability which it encompasses from everywhere. The creatures. I'll give you an example, so make it easy for you. Let's say you start to make a table. You don't have the table, right? You want to make this table. You imagine it first. You think what you want to do, what dimensions you want to, what shape you want to make with, what material you're going to use, and all of these things. Then you decide, you go and put it together and you make it. So you are similar to this. Muhitun, you are muhit, you are encompassing in every aspect of this table. Of course, being human being, we cannot compare this. Human being still have got inherent weaknesses. We cannot say really 100% we have got encompassing ability to this table. But I can say only that much, that I know exactly what this table is. I have made it myself. If had I created the wood itself, the wood myself, then I would have had more encompassing ability, or muhit. Muhit or ihata means when you have got ability of knowing everything about something. That's called ihata. And jawharun darrak muhitun bil ashya. So aql or intellect, this is the definition of Imam Ali. It knows everything about every aspect of every shay, and every being is known by aql. Olam, is make sense? Yes? 5%? Okay. It says muhitun bil ashya and jami' jahatiha, from every aspect. Intellect is encompassing objects. So that means there is no hidden aspect of this table to me, right? Do you agree that if I have made this table, there is no hidden aspect of this table to me? Yes, Ali? Yes? That almost I know everything about this table. Yes, Jafar? If I've made it. So except that I may not know what type of wood it is, this type of thing. So, but still I know dimensions, because I've made it myself. I know I know the plan of it, how I have made it. So, aql is like that. Aql knows every aspect of every creature in the whole universe. So see what a saint is aql. Aql is the most sacred thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. There is a lot of ahadith for this matter. And then arifun bishay qabla kawnih. Aql, or in universal intellect, knows about everything before it is created. How? Example, the same example. I want to make this table. This table is not created, but it is in my, let's say, in my aql, if you like. So I know it before I create it, don't I? I know when I want to create this table, I know everything about this table before I create it. So similarly, aql is even more so. More so, aql is knowledgeable about all the creatures before they are even created. فَهُوَ إِلَّةٌ لِلْمَوْجُودَاتِ وَنَهَايَةُ الْمَطَالِبِ. So, aql or universal intellect is the, let's say, creator of everything. And everything refers and goes back to Nahayatul Matalib. That's the destiny and destination of every being. So, alhamdulillah, you all understood, right? Okay, now let's go to the hadith itself. Going to the hadith, when we say...
Can I ask, how could be described as knowing ability?
Sorry?
Knowing ability, the ability to know.
No, it's not ability, it's knowledge itself. No, you cannot say it's only an ability. We are talking about, inshallah, I can't talk about this today, and definitely not in any of these classes. Maybe in those who have been present in Laylatul Qadr sessions, when I spoke about Basitatul Haqiqate Kull al-Ashya. Do you remember? Maybe that's a little bit of help. Basitatul Haqiqate Kull al-Ashya helps to understand this aql. Those who have not, you may go and listen to those 14 sessions of Laylatul Qadr. So nevertheless, this origin of this nafs is aql. And Ma'asum and Imam alayhi salam is the only fit for these souls. Okay? What makes an intellect fully actualized? The very essence that can make an intellect fully actualized. When we say fully actualized, means reaching full actualization is reaching to the level of universal intellect. That is infallibility or ma'sumiyat. Ismat is the ingredient to make the intellect of someone fully actualized. So, however much people are closer to Ismat, however much people are sinless, however much people are on the right path and on the right way, and their lifestyle is as per the Quran and Sunnah and close to the way of the lifestyle of Ma'sumin, the closer that person is to full actuality of his aql. So obviously, none of us being infallible, we can never access or accomplish that level. But remember, even infallibility itself has got levels. When we say levels, absolute infallibility is for ma'sumin. But there are lower levels of infallibility. There are a lot of people who do not do sins, right? For instance, we don't think that Imam Khomeini rahmatullah alayhi, or Allama Tabatabai rahmatullah, or Ayatollah Behjad rahmatullah, that they have been sinning, do we? So they are closest, of course, that from what I know, not that there are not other people. They are probably the closest people to infallibility, so that means their aql and intellect is the closest to the full actualized universal intellect. So, when I say assume, when it is proved to us, when we see that from the word of Imam Ali alayhi salam, that this nafs, the way Imam Ali explains it, has no fit except himself and other 13 ma'sumin. Then, whenever we hear, there are a lot of, you might know that there are a lot of, plenty, I prepared some of them for today, but unfortunately there is no time to show you. There are plenty of scientific proofs now, and even experimental proofs from other religions like Buddhists, that they say, and even in quantum they have proven that there is a universal consciousness in the whole universe, which is managing the whole universe. Those who are familiar with Sorry, what was the name of this science I just thought? Quantum mechanics and quantum physics. Those who are familiar with it and those who are who have seen some of these quantum sessions, they know what I'm talking about. They have every proof that behind every matter, behind every substance, behind every creature, behind the whole universes and galaxies, there is a universal consciousness which is managing it. What I'm telling you now, this is my own saying, so that I have to separate it from the rest of the things I'm saying, so that you know that it is my view, which could be shared with others as well. That this intellectual consciousness, which is managing the whole galaxies and the whole universes, is the intellect of Imam Zaman alayhi salatu wassalam. Why I say that? Of course, this is not just a wild guess. It is due to ahadith that we have. فَلَوْلَاكَ وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْأَفْلَاكَ means what? Had you not been existing, no galaxies and aflaq would have been existent. So what does that mean? That means the whole universe is being managed by, being run by Ma'asum alayhi salam. Go read, if you want to know more, go read those last paragraphs of Dua Nutbeh. See what are we asking in Dua Nutbeh from Imam. We are not asking them, please do ask Allah to do it for us. We are asking them that you do it for us. So you go read Ziyarat Jami' Kabire. So there is no time that I explain you why I have got this conclusion for myself. So Imam Zaman alayhi salatu wasalam, Ruhi lahul fada, is the organizer and is the consciousness behind the whole creation at the moment. So all Ma'asumin, of course, have got the same level. So that is why, probably why part of the hadith says, whoever knows Imam, whoever knows this nafs is prosperous, and whoever is ignorant about this nafs has gone astray. So this is the highest creature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is existing on this earth at the moment, is Imam Zaman alayhi salam. How otherwise do we expect that this earth will be run by who? Angels? Do any of you assume that there are angels who are higher than Imam Zaman alayhi salam? Of course. You have not probably touched these issues here, but inshallah in separate sessions we have discussed, and we will more discuss these issues. And even if you look at that, then you would realize, you remember we spoke in previous sessions and we said potentiality, going from potentiality to actuality, what do we need? What does do that? What does brings objects and things from potentiality to actuality? Intellect. We said it is intellect, it is aql, which brings things from potentiality to actuality. So what is the issue of intizar? Intizar of the whole creation that are having potentiality in them. Their expectation and intizar is to become actual, isn't it? Do you think otherwise, that everything there is a potentiality in it, let's say a seed, let's say an embryo in an animal's womb, let's consider an embryo of a human being in a mother's womb, anything that can have potential in it, that object has got an expectation and intizar for actualization. Do you agree? Anyone, any objection to this? Jafar, do you agree? Yes. You don't? Of course, every seed is striving towards making itself to its full actuality. Every human being, if he knows, of course there are a lot of people who don't do that, but if he knows, wants to make his fullest actuality and fa'iliyat. So that is why the whole issue of intizar in the whole creation exists. Intizar is not only for us human beings. When we say intizar of Imam Zaman alayhi salam, the whole creation has got a state of intizar for going from potentiality to actuality. So we can say it is Imam Zaman alayhi salam who brings every object, every seed from potentiality to actuality. Difficult to accept. So basically, what also the core reason that we want, I can tell you, at least myself, I want, I'm sure every sane person would want, is for with the appearance of Imam Zaman alayhi salam, we would expect after his first part of the mission, which is bringing the word to the justice and adalah. After that, what would we expect from Imam? To help us actualize our potentiality, isn't it? Otherwise, what is the point? Imam comes for what? Imam comes just to bring, if that would have been the case, so only a just king would have done it, isn't it? A just king would have done what Imam Zaman we are expecting to do. But what a king cannot do and Imam Zaman can do, it is bringing our potentiality to an actuality. That's what we would expect from Imam Zaman alayhi salam. That is why, for instance, maybe, with a high probability that this hadith is there, that it says, وَمَنْ مَاتَ وَمَنْ لَمْ يَعْرِفْ إِمَامَ زَمَانَهُ أَحْسَنْ مَاتَ مَيْتَةً جَاهِلِيَّةً. Whoever dies without knowing his Imam, who has died in the death of Jahiliyyat and ignorance. And what is the death of ignorance and Jahiliyyat? We don't know. If we knew, we would have not been sitting here and we would have been crying. We don't know what is this of Jahiliyyat. So whoever does not know Imam of his Zaman. So do you think those people who were during Imam Hussein alayhi salam in Karbala, did they know Imam? Yes? Jafar? Those people in Karbala, did they know Imam Hussein? Or they didn't? Those who fought with him. They did? So why did they kill him? Okay, that's the whole point. The whole point is that is not the knowledge. That knowledge of Imam Hussein alayhi salam was the son of Ali ibn Abi Talib and the son of Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha and the brother of Imam Hassan alayhi salam and Hazrat Zainab salamullah alayha. That's not the knowledge. That knowledge does not save anyone. Otherwise, all those people who killed 11 Imams, they would have been saved. The knowledge about knowing Imam is an intellectual knowledge. Knowing Imam in reality, knowing what is the status of Imam in the whole creation and universe. That is what would help and save us. That is when Imam says in this hadith itself, Imam alayhi salam says, فَمَنْ عَرَفَهَا. What was it? وَمَنْ عَرَفَهَا لَمْ يَشْقَ أَبَدًا. Whoever knows Imam never goes astray. So that knowledge of knowing Imam is not knowing who his parents have been and what year they have been born and what they have done. So it is basically knowing Imam alayhi salam is to know where is their status in the whole creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to know the knowledge they have taught us, all the ma'arif that Imams alayhi salam they have taught and they have spoken of. To know them, they have to know those things. To know them, we have to live the laws that Imam have said. That is only when we can be included in this hadith as arafaha. That means we have known Imam alayhi salam. Agree with me? Inshallah, the most of this part of this hadith, we leave it for MNC 2 and 3. There is not really much I can say because there a lot of background is required. I know it was a bit of difficult for you, but never mind. Whatever you have learned from this is qanimat.